In the crypto space, a simple name change is rarely just about a fresh coat of paint. More often than not, it's a huge signal of a much deeper strategic shift. So let's dive right in. We're going to analyze the rebrand of the token that used to be XPLA, which now has a new identity, CONX. And this really gets us to the absolute heart of the matter. It's the one question that everything else hinges on. Can this project actually transform its underlying infrastructure into a network that people and developers actually use in a real, sustainable way? That's what we're here to unpack.
All right, first things first. This is so much more than just a name change. We really need to understand why something as simple as a new name can be such a massive strategic signal in the world of crypto.
In this space, rebrands aren't just cosmetic touch-ups. They represent a genuine evolution of the brand's story, its narrative. A lot of the time, it's a signal flare that they're aiming for something much bigger, a broader global ambition. And that's exactly what we're going to pick apart here. So, how does this new brand build on what was already there? Let's take a closer look at the core infrastructure, what actually changed, and just as important, what stayed exactly the same. Okay, this is a super important distinction, so let's be crystal clear. The underlying network, the mainnet itself, is still called XPLA. Nothing's changed there. It's only the token, the asset that runs on that network, that's been rebranded to CONX. It seems simple, but getting this right is vital to understanding the strategy. And this really drives the point home. The foundation is still solid. The core blockchain tech, the base architecture, the total number of tokens that can ever exist, none of that was touched. This was all about updating the asset's identity. And it was a move approved by community governance, by the way. So the main mission here, that remains exactly the same. The whole point of the XPLA network is to build a vibrant, thriving environment for digital apps, especially for Web3 gaming and all kinds of tokenized assets. It's all about creating a playground for developers and users. Okay, that brings us to the economic engine of this whole thing. Let's take a look at the tokenomics of CONX, because let's be honest, without a sustainable economy, the best tech in the world is basically useless. So the CONX token isn't just sitting there. It's doing some serious work. It has four main jobs. You can stake it to earn rewards. That staking, in turn, helps secure the entire network. It also gives holders a say in governance, a vote on the future. And finally, it's used to incentivize developers to build and the community to grow. It really is the lifeblood of the whole system. Now, if you're looking at this from a professional analyst's point of view, it all comes down to this really delicate balancing act. On one side of the scale, you have all the growth metrics you need to see. Things like real user growth and developer adoption. But on the other side, you have these inflation risks, like the token unlock schedule. That's when pre-allocated tokens get released, which can create some serious selling pressure. And this is the bottom line. For any project like this one, it all boils down to a simple truth. Sustainable value requires ecosystem growth that is faster than token inflation. If you're pumping out more tokens than you have real demand and activity, well, the value is going to have a really tough time long term. It's just simple economics. So let's talk about what this really is, the rebranding gamble. This is where we have to weigh all that strategic ambition we've been talking about against some pretty harsh market realities. So what was the big idea behind this move? Well, the goals were pretty ambitious, and they tell a fascinating story. They want to be known for more than just gaming. They want to create a more flexible, global identity. They want to improve how the brand is perceived, differentiate their news story from their old one, and ultimately open the door to new partnerships. It's a clear shot at playing in a bigger league. And this is a big but, a new name doesn't just magically erase the fundamental risks. The competition from other Layer 1 blockchains, your Ethereums and Solanas of the world, is absolutely brutal. The project is also pretty dependent on the Web3 entertainment sector continuing to grow. And like we just talked about, it's always got that potential sell pressure from future token unlocks hanging over its head. So what's the big takeaway here? It's this: narrative matters. A good story is powerful. But execution matters a whole lot more. A great story might get you some attention, but it can't sustain a project if there aren't real-world results to back it up. Okay, this brings us to our final section. Let's look at 3 possible futures for CONX, which should lead us to some kind of verdict based on everything we've just covered. All right, let's paint the best-case scenario first, the bullish outlook. In this world, the rebrand is a home run. We see real, tangible expansion of the ecosystem. Cool new apps start integrating, user adoption explodes, and the CONX brand becomes powerful and widely recognized. Then, you've got the middle-of-the-road neutral scenario. In this version of the future, the project does okay. It sees some moderate growth, but stays stuck in a few specific niches. The token is still around, but it's dealing with constant volatility because it never quite breaks into the mainstream. And of course, we have to talk about the bearish case. In this future, adoption just never takes off. Superior competitors come along and ate their lunch, and that shiny new narrative, it just fails to connect with users and developers. It fizzles out. So, what should we really be watching for to see which way this goes? In the end, success for any blockchain isn't about the branding. It comes down to these 4 things. Is anyone actually using it in the real world? Are developers building on it? Is the economy sustainable? And is it creating powerful network effects where more users make it more valuable for everyone? Ultimately, it's not up to us. The market is going to be the final judge. The project has put its new story, its new narrative out there for the world to see. Now, the billion-dollar question that remains is a big one. Will the execution actually follow? We'll have to wait and see.